Here we are. Hello, everybody, and happy Halloween. You can see that our guest hasn't joined us with her dress. We're in the Halloween spirit, and Jennifer Sutton is going to be talking about remaining emotionally safe in your divorce. So that's kind of the opposite of a Halloween theme.
And we're lightening the load.
Right, because if we were a Halloween theme, it would be how to stay unsafe. Not only your divorce, but at all times. Halloween is very frightening. Anyway, so I'm Lee Daniel, and I am a divorce lawyer and the creator of Project Positive Change, which is a platform for heart-centered entrepreneurs. And even though I am a divorce lawyer, I really try to come from a place of positivity and helping people move forward in their life. And sometimes it can put me at crossroads with my clients that have a lot of bitterness and a lot of anger. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is how to keep yourself from getting in that trap, or at least I think that's kind of what being emotionally safe is. And Allison here, Allison, you tell everybody who you are.
I'm going to put this down. I'm not very good at multitasking.
Oh.
I'll be back. So, yeah, I am Allison Ryu. I'm a loved again and forever coach, and that means I try and get you before you hit the divorce courts or before you hit Lee, and work on exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Work on those bits that make sure that when you hit the divorce courts, you know what went wrong, you know what your part was, and you're less likely to get emotionally involved. The anger can be kept at arm's length, and hopefully we can do, as Gwyneth Paltrow talks about, some really conscious uncoupling. So that's where I come from, which means that I'm kind of the opposite end of the scale from Lee, but we work very well together because we're both members of. Well, I'm a member, and she's the founder of PPC. We both have the same outlook. We both want you to be happy, whatever
Right.
happy looks like for you.
Right. And Jennifer, who's our special guest today, tell everybody what you do and what you're going to talk about with us today.
All right, thanks for having me, and happy Halloween. And actually what I do, and this topic is actually right in alignment with Halloween, because if you can find your own emotional safety, you can enjoy the festivities more. You won't be as frightened by people that are walking around with pretend heads cut off and things like that. And
Witches.
And witches.
Devils.
Exactly. And people, with spiky things that could harm you. So it actually fits right in. But I'm Jennifer Sutton from What If Wellness, as you said, and I teach individuals and groups how to get to and then stay in their center so that they can feel safe. And from safety, they can then find new solutions, have more joy and more creativity. If we're stuck in fear, then our lizard brain keeps us in whatever pattern we're already in. And especially when you're in a big thing like looking at getting divorced or in the process of getting divorced, you don't want to stay stuck in your old patterns. You're going to need to see things from a new way. Otherwise, you're going to keep having the same experience. Even after you're divorced, you're going to be in the same boat until you find your safety so that you can then find new solutions.
Okay, well, I have a question for you that it's come up recently. I have a client whose little boy keeps saying he doesn't feel safe. So what is that? What is safety? I mean, what exactly does safety mean to you, Jennifer? I'm asking you next, Allison.
Yeah, I think for me, there's obviously physical safety. That's going to be one of your biggest questions is, am I physically safe here in this house right now? That's one of the biggest things. Once you've established physical safety, emotional safety for me means that that I'm at peace. And if I'm at peace, then I'm not that little gerbil running on the same wheel over and over again. If I can stop and see my solutions or see my situation from the outside, then I know I'm feeling safer. If I'm only stuck inside, I know I'm not safe. So kind of how I look at my life. And for me, I have always, well, not always, I guess in my 20s, I took a martial art. I started studying a martial art. And our 3 principles are how not to be hurt by others, how not to hurt others, and how to be responsible for our own happiness and our own harmony. So that's on all levels. It starts at physical levels, but it's also the emotional levels. And when I first, during my early years in that art, my husband and I then had an issue, and I felt betrayed and hurt. And I went to my sensei and I said, I feel really hurt. How do I not feel hurt about this? And that was part of my training, was how to learn not to feel hurt, even when people do things that seem hurtful.
Wow.
So that is very much what I've taken from that art. Even when I wasn't training martial arts, I was still holding on to that really key piece, and it's kept me feeling on a more peaceful and productive path.
Yeah.
Since I was in my 20s.
That makes sense, because even for this child, because he doesn't feel at peace, and there's a lot of turmoil in the relationship. And I'm going to ask Allison still, I'm not letting you off the hook about what safety is. But what I think that people need to realize is that when they don't feel safe and they're at turmoil, their kids are picking this up. And some kids are much more sensitive. And so what I have to tell people so often is, even if you don't care about yourself, then please care about your kids. Because sometimes people don't even realize how bad not getting past this hurt is for their children.
Right, absolutely.
So what about you, Allison? If I say, I don't feel safe, and it's emotional, I don't feel, there's no spooks around.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, what does it mean to you when I say I don't feel safe?
I would ask you, what does it mean? That's,
Wait a minute.
Because
no.
As if you were my client and you were telling me you weren't feeling safe, I would ask you to give me, in your own words, an explanation for what that looks like, feels like. Because safety to me is different slightly maybe to your safety or Jennifer's safety. So it's really important to understand the words that we use and what they mean to that individual.
Sure.
So yeah, that would be the first thing I would do. And then once we'd established it, again, it's very much, we're talking about children especially, what we tend to do as parents, and we think we're doing it from the place of love, is we try and hide what's happening, especially in divorce, especially, not even necessarily in divorce, but when the relationship's in turmoil, we try and do it behind closed doors, we wait till the kids are in bed, but they know. They absolutely know. They pick everything up, and especially, and I say that as a highly sensitive, but you don't need to be. You pick it all up. So I'm not saying you have to sit down and explain every single detail.
And I'm saying that you should not sit down and explain every single detail.
Yeah, and I think you need to give a broader picture, though. You need to give them you need to let them understand that what they're feeling is true. There is some sort of discord going on. How, to what level you want to explain that, so that you don't, because children often find themselves in conflict, and that's where the fear comes in. That's where that feeling scared or unsafe comes in, because they feel something, but they're being told something different. So at least you acknowledge that yes, you may be feeling that because, mum and dad are going through a bit of a tough time. Mum and dad are disagreeing about, whatever. And you can leave it that. At least it acknowledges the feelings, and, and makes them feel more at ease. At least
and work on it and try to get out of it. Just like somebody like working with somebody like you or with Jennifer, because if you're stuck there, and I find that a lot of times people are in such pain that they want to stay stuck. I mean, they really seem to cling on to their pain. And those are the kind of clients that, I'm sad to say, I don't enjoy working with, because for me, it's about moving through. And so Jennifer, What's the first step? What's the first step in being emotionally safe?
So I'm sorry, say that.
What's the first step? First step in being emotionally safe.
What does it mean to be emotionally safe?
Now, what's the first step? The first thing you want to do.
The first thing I want to do is I want to look at it from a point of, okay, this is how I feel right now. Absolutely. Everything that's happened is true. That's the first thing, is to recognize that everything that I have seen and heard is true from my experience, and allow myself to feel it. And once I've felt it, then I get to say, okay, am I done with this? And then I get to choose what else I want to feel. So I can feel betrayed. Absolutely. I can feel angry. Absolutely. All of those things are valid and necessary for the process. But the way that you find your safety is then to choose which way you'd rather feel. Do I want to stay in this? Do I like this? Is this fun? Is this getting me where I really want to be? And usually those answers are pretty obviously not the case, right? So then you have to find ways, okay, so how do I shift it? Okay, I'm really angry right now. How do I get out of that? And everybody's solution is going to be different. I've used a variety of different tools. One of my favorite most recently is Ho'oponopono. Do you know Ho'oponopono?
Yeah.
It's a Hawaiian healing technique where you simply say, the way I do it is I say it out loud. I say the person's name, and it can be anywhere from your son to your partner to a political person that you're really frustrated with, right? So you can say, just to have as an example, somebody that we all know, you can say, Donald Trump, I love you. Yes, you can do it for people that you agree with or don't agree with.
You see this evil look on my face.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I've just cast a spell, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can go there in your heart and find what it is that makes you unsafe with that person. So for me, I actually did this at one point, standing in the woods, and it was really amazing, even for somebody I've never met and I have no personal connection to. When you do the process of, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. It's very simple, but you do it from a point of, I love you, even though you've harmed me, even though I've harmed you, even though we don't meet eye to eye, I love you because you're another being I share this planet with. So it's not maybe love anymore or whatever. You have to find inside yourself what that means for you. And then I'm sorry for any time that I haven't seen you as fully human, that I haven't valued you, that I haven't trusted that you're doing your best. Please forgive me for those shortcomings, for not seeing you as who you really are. And thank you. Just thank you for giving me the opportunity to heal myself by having you in my life. So that's one of the things I use now in my current relationship. I have a fantastic man in my life now, but sometimes I feel like I'm angry with him for no reason. Those are my triggers.
You may want to work with Allison.
Sorry?
You may want to work with Allison.
Yeah, so it can be used to make your relationship that you have now better. It can be used to heal your anger with a divorcing situation. I used it with my ex-husband and through the process so that I could find those places in me where it was about me, because we see the world as we are, not as the world is. So the more I can work on what's about me, the more everything around me shifts to be in alignment with who I really want to be and who I am that day. So
that's beautiful. And that, Allison, so from the very beginning, I don't know if you've seen it, Jennifer, but we had a discussion about, Allison asked people, and I started to do this with my clients, even my paralegal has started to do this. What do you want?
Right.
Because it's really such inward work. And so do you have people do a forgiveness exercise? It sounds like it's kind of forgiveness. How do you pronounce it again? Hanapoa? No.
Ho'oponopono.
That's not right. Hanapono?
Hopopono.
Hopopono.
Yeah. And I can't spell it except if I Google it, then it spells it for me.
Hopopono. So
Hopopono. Yeah.
Allison, do you do anything like that?
I actually used it on a relationship that was much closer to me than Donald Trump. I used it with my mother when I was going through a situation with her, and it did allow me space between my emotions and my intelligent thoughts, if you like, to really feel into love. So yeah, it's really powerful, and and it's so simple. You can't understand exactly why it would work, but it does work. And it's something that anyone can do, because you've got 4 sentences, and even if you don't believe what you're doing, I think it takes a step away from the anger or the hurt that you're feeling in that moment, and gives you something else to concentrate on. So any of these things any of these techniques that just take you a step away from the emotion that you're feeling, to let you breathe through it, are great tools.
And so what are some things, I'm trying to think of the words that my clients use when they come in to see me. So what are things that make people feel, in case they still are like, I don't really get it, emotionally unsafe? I mean, for me, I was in a relationship where I felt like the other person wanted to dictate to me how the relationship, he didn't, it was like he was going to tell me this was how it was. And that's kind of the first step of what Jennifer was saying, is that you say, this is my reality, right? So that, for me, that's one thing that makes me feel unsafe. When somebody doesn't listen to me and seems to want to, this is the way it is. And it's like, wait a minute. No, it's not. Of course, I found out he was very narcissistic, and we're talking about narcissism next week. But for me, that really causes me to feel unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
But it's different things for different people, like Allison said. So what are some other kind of things that make people feel emotionally unsafe?
What make them feel emotionally safe as opposed to unsafe? Okay, right.
Because I'm trying to, if people don't really still like, they're like, I'm not sure if I feel emotionally unsafe or not. I mean, what are some things that may make people feel that emotional fear, that risk?
Yeah, I think that what you just said, it's different for everybody. Each person will have their own triggers. For me, it's somebody not believing me, not trusting me, because I consider myself a very loyal and trustworthy person. So if somebody doubts that or doubts my intention, then I get pretty good triggered. Or if I think that I'm being treated unfairly in any way. So if I feel like they're getting a bigger share, sometimes that feels like I'm being neglected or abused, even though it's really not that at all. But it takes me right to my little girl inside, who felt that as the youngest of all the kids and the quietest. So you take your little girl or your little boy with you into adulthood, and those are the triggers. The things that hurt you as a child are usually those things that will come out as an adult, and they can be really simple and they can be really complex. So everybody has their own thing. Some people, it's about money. So if somebody spends more than was on the budget, that might put them over the top. Because that's not following the rules. So breaking out of the rules might be the problem. Usually when I find when I'm helping people get to their center, it's usually about not being seen for who they really are. And sometimes it's because the person isn't willing to show who they really are, because they haven't felt like it's safe to do that. So usually what we end up doing is clearing whatever makes it hard for them to be who they really are. And then the rest comes much more easily.
What about you, Allison? What do you see when your clients, I was just thinking, divorce is actually the ultimate time of feeling emotionally unsafe.
Absolutely.
Because you feel, and maybe this is my trigger, but you feel rejected, you feel possibly abandoned, you feel like your whole world is crumbling, you feel like everything is changing. So divorce is a huge time for feeling that emotional, it's not unsafety, emotionally unsafe. What, Allison, what do you see when people say that they feel emotionally unsafe? Or they probably don't say that, but what is it?
Yeah, that's exactly it. They don't say that, but it's what you pick up on. And I think even if you're the instigator, even if you've decided that the relationship is over, you still have those feelings, because it's a huge. Not only are you saying goodbye to somebody that you loved, that you created a life with, but you're also saying goodbye to that life that you created together. In a lot of instances, the friendships, the way that the family, dynamic is going to change. All of those things really, and that's why people take such a long time. I think, either you get the two camps. You get the ones that, it goes wrong and they're in to see you immediately, or they've spent so long trying to figure it out. And eventually when that place, and I think it's the unknown that creates that sense of unsafety. And that's, we were talking about that last week as well, is creating that vision of what life can be like helps break through, I think, the fear a little bit, because, I'm going to leave this, I've no idea what I'm going to. Well, not knowing where I'm going is so much scarier than staying stuck. So create that vision beyond and start working towards that. At least it gives you that space between the emotion that you're feeling and where you want to be. It buys time. It buys a bit of peace of mind apart from anything else.
Yeah, I love the visualizing, because I do journaling, and I think that journaling is really super helpful. Just getting all of those feelings out, and like Jennifer first said, validating them. This is okay that I feel this way. This is how I feel. Writing a letter to yourself, writing a letter to that person, or even writing a letter to those feelings. Which sounds a little crazy probably, but writing a letter to those feelings of unhappiness and saying, I understand how you're, anything, just acknowledging it, I think is what Jennifer said. And I think that's really important for my clients to acknowledge. They'll come in and be so sorry that they're crying. I mean, I don't have Kleenex here for no reason. And they're going, I'm so sorry, I'm crying. And I'm like, it's okay. This isn't a really super important time in your life. You don't, this is a place that you can cry. We're talking about, the dissolution of your marriage, and it's okay for you to cry. And they seem so embarrassed or ashamed, or, just because they're expressing emotion. And I think that you have to first start with, the reality of, because if you just keep burying it, those feelings, or covering it up, then, we know it doesn't get any better. You can't move on. But I also find that, so we've done the forgiveness, we're out in the woods, we've given the forgiveness, and then we get an email or a phone call and we're suddenly enraged. So, Jennifer, how do you bring yourself back?
That happened to me a number of times during my divorce process.
Me too.
And this is actually one of the other keys, is to have a support network, to have people that you can vent to, not back at the person, because that's not going to help. That doesn't usually make a better situation for you. But I actually had a wonderful way of catharsis, that I would get the email and I'd send it to my girlfriend, and she would write a scathing reply.
Oh, good.
Yes, she would. Oh my God, she was so good. And she would send it to me, and I'd read it and I'd be like, yes, that's exactly it. And then I would send it to my own email as a save, and I'd rewrite it from what really needs to be said as a centered and let's move forward response. But I got to feel it, man. I got to feel as if I could say that, and it was validating for her to think it was okay to say that. And she actually thought I was way too nice in my replies. She's like, you can use some of this for real. and that's important, is to have people that have your back and can feel your feelings with you, and then let you choose where you want to go with it, and be supportive of that.
I think that is a fantastic idea. As I've been doing these interviews, I've been thinking of ways that I could incorporate this into some sort of guide, some sort of, that I give my clients. And because there's so many things that I'm learning from our guest and from Allison that I've never thought about. I mean, I'm just in the midst of everybody's pain, and I've learned so much. Because I have some clients right now that are really in pain, are really in a lot of emotional pain, and I'm just, these ideas are just, it's just gold. I can't wait to send this video to them. So having a good support system is so important. And so you had your friend, and Allison, who are some other, you can have a coach like Allison or like Jennifer, you both do coaching, right?
Yeah.
And maybe your minister, they may not say the curse words, but they may.
I think you need some curse words when you're in that situation. I think, you've got to be careful with your girlfriends though, or your family, because they often have their own agenda, not from a place of, certainly not to be malicious, but they either want you to stay or they really want you out. So you have to make sure you find that girlfriend that Jennifer has, or that friend that Jennifer has, who lets you do what you have to do, and then takes a step back and hands it back over to you. Someone that holds the space for you without, trying to force you into a corner, especially when you already feel that you're in a corner, you're in that difficult situation when you're going through the divorce process. So you need someone else to stand next to you and then take a step back when it's time for you to move forward.
That's perfect. And I know from my own perspective, when people come in the office and I know they're being mistreated and I really want them to get divorced, and I'll be like, and then or I really think that they're giving too much money, or I know that they're doing the wrong thing, and then I have to be like, you know what, I'll support you no matter what. I'm your lawyer, I work for you, you tell me what to do. And my instinct is to get them to fight for them as much as I possibly can. But it's just like Allison just said, you have to, even for me, I have to step back and realize that it's really that person's decision and that person's piece. It's not, it's not for me to feel good about the decision. It's for them to feel that they, I just, I definitely, I had a client once who said, you can represent me the best if you realize I want to take care of my wife. Because I was like, you're giving her too much money. I was so like, you shouldn't be giving her all this money. And he was like, I want to take care of her. And if you want to represent me well, you'll help me take care of her. And I said, okay. And he retained me, and that's what I'll do, right? But you are so right, because everybody gets so fired up and they just want to protect you, and they don't want it. Don't want you to be in that pain. So, okay. So besides that, we've got, we've gone over 30 minutes, but tell me, after you have a support system, how can you, is there a way to ever get away from this feeling of being emotionally unsafe?
Is there a way to what?
To get away from it, to
get rid of those feelings? Absolutely. That's key to shifting into what you really want is when you get rid of the old stuff, make a pile of it over there and step away from it. I use a lot of different techniques. One of the ones that I use most, and what I used during my own divorce, on the way to and from work, you probably shouldn't do it when you're driving, but I did at stoplights and things like that. I use EFT tapping. And then the other thing that I add to it is I add brain training questions. So what if everything's falling into place perfectly, even though it looks like absolute nightmare right now? What if this is perfect for me? And then your brain, your fast brain, as long as you're in safety, your fast brain starts looking for proof that everything's falling into place. And you'll start seeing something that, oh, wow, my life will be a little better this way because we're splitting. Or, you know what I mean? So your brain starts, the fast brain proves whatever you believe. And so if you give it new questions and new statements to believe, then it starts looking for ways to prove that to you.
Why am I so thin and young?
And also
yeah,
that buys some space as well in your between yourself and that emotional fear.
I love that.
You're
That's
looking
great.
for something else. You're actually using your brain to look for something else. So it can't be in two places at once. It can't be in fear and it can't be looking for solutions at the same time. That's genius.
exactly. Right.
So say those again. Why is everything okay? Why is everything working out for me? What's some more?
What if, yeah, exactly. What is, if asking the question is stronger than making a statement, because if you make a statement that everything is perfect for me right now, when it isn't, your brain will automatically prove that it isn't, because it's in opposition to what you truly believe. So what if everything is working out for me? What if my life is getting better and better every moment? Who will I be when I, and just who will I be when I have more fun? And you can start, your brain will start looking at who you might be in different ways, having more fun. And you'll start seeing magazines that show people having more fun, and your heart will connect to that. So it's like you just start seeing in the world new options that your brain had filtered out before. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's really fun. And then if you tap while you're doing it, then you're clearing the old energy patterns and tapping in these new possibilities. And that's why the brain training and the tapping together are so powerful and fun, because you can create crazy scenarios while you're tapping just to make your brain jump out of what it thinks it knows is true. So you can say, what if I jump in the lake and at the bottom I find a chest of money? Or, you know what I mean? So your brain starts thinking, wow, maybe there's a chest of money. Maybe it's not at the bottom of the lake. Maybe it's, you know what I mean? So it's just a crazy way, a scientific way to get your brain to do crazy stuff, to jump to a new place.
That's
and
good.
Once you're in that new place, it's usually more fun. It's more fun getting there, and it's more fun once you're there.
So for people who don't know what EFT is, what is EFT?
What is EFT? It's the emotional freedom technique, which of course goes along with this whole safety thing. And it's tapping on acupuncture points. So instead of using needles on acupuncture points, and it's a method that you can use anytime you want. You don't need to be with a practitioner, like with needles, of course, you need to be with a practitioner who knows exactly what they're doing. But for tapping, you can do it on your own 10, 20, 30 times a day if you're in a lot of pain, or you can do it once a day as a maintenance thing. You start by tapping on the outside of your hand. Oh, we have some.
No, that was me. I was trying to apologies. Multitasking.
You start by tapping on the outside of your hand, and you say a setup phrase, which is, even though I feel in pain today, or even though life is falling apart around me, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And even though life is looking, tapping this whole time, even though life looks really hard right now, what if it's shifting toward my highest and best right this moment? So you do 3 setup phrases, and then you tap on the points. And this is all on videos on Project Positive Change already. I'm not the only tapper on there, so there are quite a few different videos from people who lead tapping. And you can go to my Facebook page, What If Wellness, and you can find tapping videos on there as well. Or you can go just to YouTube and put in tapping and divorce, or EFT and divorce, EFT and anger. And you'll find all these videos to tap along with. So you can learn how to do it, see how it's done, and do it for yourself as much as you want or need to. And it's a very powerful tool. You come to practitioners because we can see you from the outside, just like in any situation. Even your friends see you from the outside and can give you new ways of seeing things that you might not have seen. So that's where practitioners come in, is that we can take you to the next level.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Allison, what is, let's give everybody a final tip for emotional freedom. I think you're muted though.
I'm sorry, what is what?
Allison is muted, okay.
Yeah.
Allison, if you can think of one tip for people to go along with EFT or some of the other things? What would you suggest?
I think my biggest suggestion is where Jennifer started, and that's feeling it, allowing the emotions, just not trying to deny them anymore. And I know that's difficult because you're terrified. We are terrified of what comes next. We're terrified of feeling that pain, but on the other side of pain is the happiness, is the pleasure. So just allowing yourself, and repeating, either doing it through EFT or just simply repeating, this will pass, this too will pass, whatever you need, just to allow yourself to go into it. And the quicker you go into it, the quicker you go out. Because you get that clarity when you're in the midst of it that you can't get when you're hanging on desperately trying to avoid it.
Yeah, that's good. So everybody tell anybody that may be watching now or later how they can find you. And of course, they can find you on Project Positive Change. And you can find me at my law office in Huntsville, Alabama, or online at Project Positive Change. And ladies, Jennifer, you go next.
Sorry?
You go in and tell everybody where they can find you again. You can find Jennifer at What If Wellness. Oh,
I can find me on Project Positive Change or at What If Wellness on the Facebook, or whatifwellness.net for my website.
Awesome. Allison?
You can find me here every Tuesday morning with you, and you can also find me at my website, alisonreiner.com. You can come and join my Facebook group where we talk about all things relationship, which is loved again and forever. And and Project Positive Change.
That's right. Project Positive Change. That's so everybody go out and have a very happy Halloween, Jennifer and Allison. Thank you.
Will do. You too.
Thank you for being here today. And have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye-bye.